expert. Good morning. Thank you very much for coming on, Godi. We really do appreciate it. The Middle East crisis is going to, we knew it was going to affect global air travel and perhaps other things. What's the state? Where are we now in that mix?
Oh, well, it's getting messier and messier, every day. The actual reason the whole world is beginning to feel the heat of what's going on there is because of the reduced or perhaps halted flow of energy. That is to say, crude oil and the rest of them. Without the crude, without energy, the world is as good as standing still. And because am I to say that those that started this war didn't seem to have done their calculations and homework well to know how this will, spiral around the world and create the kind of problems we've got on our hands right now. Because the crude that about 40% of the crude that the world is consuming is coming from Middle and Far East. And the lane that the ships will take to get across to pick up this crude and supply to the West is been blocked. And I'm talking about the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes.
And by the way, I noticed by having conversations with people around that a whole lot of people do not understand this issue of Strait of Hormuz.
Indeed.
When we say strait, sorry?
Carry on, please.
Yeah, when we say strait, we're talking about, a narrow channel of water connecting two huge bodies of water. That means if you're coming from one end of a huge body of water and you want to continue your journey to the next one, if you don't pass through that strait, you can't connect. Our creator, God himself, is awesome, and how he put this whole thing around. As a matter of fact, we have about 12 of them around the world. I'm talking about 12 straits connecting bodies of water. Unfortunately, the country that has been attacked, and we are talking about Iran.
Iran, yes.
Has always been in control of the Strait of Hormuz. And so if they militarily block it, like as they have done at the moment, vessels cannot connect between East and West anymore. And so shortages, begin to, arise. And
yes, because they now have to take the long route around.
Even that long route around is not viable.
Of course.
It would even be more expensive than what is the shortage that is being managed at the moment. So that's the mess we've got on our hands, and the whole world is paying undeserved price for this war. And I hope the actors would think through it and put an end to the war as quickly as possible.
Indeed. In fact, we don't even know, but generally experts are predicting that if we think this is a challenge now, it's likely to get even worse as we go along. Everything works off oil, and it goes without saying, the whole airline industry, and now there's there's chaos in the airspace. There's been talk recently, when I'm saying recently, between maybe within the past 24 hours, I've been hearing people saying that President Trump of the US might actually might attempt to take over the Strait of Hormuz. He might actually be attempting to take it over. What is it that President Trump can't do? So, I mean, before one laughs about it, what do you think of that whole notion that America seems to want a thing, it decides that the only way to go is to take it over? Greenland was there. In fact, I was even reading that it's decided that Cuba, they're just managing, they're poor, they don't have anything. Maybe we should just take over the place and see what we can do for them. So what do you think of this, of that whole idea of US President Trump taking over this whole strait?
Well, as much as I admire the strength and courage of President Trump of the United States of America, a whole lot of people won't think the way I am doing. But when I look through him and I listen to him and I see the way he makes his decisions, and I really admire him as a true leader. That's what leadership should actually be. You don't want to necessarily be anybody's friend for as long as you're doing.
Leadership isn't always a popularity contest.
well, that's correct. But then what's going on at the moment is very dangerous. Dangerous in the sense that I would cancel President Trump, that a wise man is a man that knows when to stop. I repeat, a wise man is a man that knows when to stop. The damage they've done in Iran is enough for them to consider sitting on a round table and discussing the issues that they have been worried about, and this is an issue of production of nuclear bombs, and
yes,
Iran becoming a nuclear power, and all because of the reckless comment Iran has been making over Israel, always announcing death to Israel, death to Israel. The only country in this entire globe that says such a thing, about a sovereign nation. And yes. If you think about it, when somebody seems to hate you so much, Clover, I'm talking about you being right in front of your gate in your house, and a neighbor, each time he or she passes through, says to you, "Death to you! You don't deserve to live." You know how it feels.
Exactly. It is a big problem. But as you know, nobody is arguing. Militarily, Iran can't stand against the United States and even perhaps Israel. But the way, as you know, that Iran is looking at it is, forget that. That's not my target. My target is that, our target is that we're going to hit everybody. Since this was started at the behest of America and Israel, we shall be hitting everybody. So whether it is Saudi Arabia or whether it is other states in there, and the whole war, I don't know the logic of it, because Iran knows that it cannot really, stand up to either of those two countries militarily, and he says we don't need to. And he says that it will consider that it is doing well in this war the more number of American bodies that return to the U.S. in body bags that it can get. And it's going to be getting these bodies, as you know, through their bases all over the world. So it is causing chaos all over the place. I don't know how well this was thought out, but the way America is right now. And by the way, Iran has said it's not interested in negotiations at the moment. It's saying unconditionally they have to remove all of their bases. Talk about what some people might say how reasonable is this demand? But they're saying that is what our demand is. Those are our terms. Take it or leave it. So it doesn't look like this crisis is going to be over anytime soon. Okay, so somebody just called in. Before you go, Godi, before you go, let me bring in Mr. George in Ikeja. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Yes, very briefly, please.
Good morning to the guests.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, I do not have the time to delve into the crisis.
Yes, of course.
Befalling that region.
Yes.
It is not likely to go away soon. It has a history that must be completed. My own concern is how it affects oil flow in my country.
Yes.
In the time NNPC was having functional refineries on Kiyori, there was this allocation of 400,000 barrels that the government gave to them for local refining.
Okay.
And they were giving, it was given to them free. I think the government should introduce something like that now. Since we have a functional refinery in our country, this crisis will be coming and going. If it doesn't strike in one country, it will happen in another country. So there is likely to be this type of instability for
some time to come. Okay, I'm afraid we've run out of time, Mr. George. Thank you for calling in. Godi, closing thoughts on this. I suppose it's going to be like that in the aviation industry as well. It's going to continue for a while, this crisis.
Well, yeah, but that of Nigeria, I must tell you, is self-inflicted. I think we can do something to keep our prices down.
Okay.
And yes, we can, because like the guy that just spoke to you a moment ago mentioned the awesome refinery put up here by Dangote. All the government will need to do is to step aside from the deregulation that they did, which opened up the crude market to international pricing and the rest of them. The point is that we have our refinery here. We have crude that is ours also. We can, as a state of emergency because of war going on somewhere that is affecting us adversely, the president can quickly issue an executive order directing that crude be sold to the refinery, Dangote's refinery, at a price that brings out end product at acceptable level.
Okay.
In an emergency like
we've run out of time. I beg your pardon, but I get your drift. We've run out of time. But when I bounced this idea off an expert who came in during the week, he was saying that, well, Dangote is playing in the international field. And apart from our crude, there's a lot that still has to come in to turn our crude into usable products that we don't have control over and that we must also source at the international rate. I know it's a lot more involved than that, but I want to thank you very much, Mr. Godi Ike, for coming on the program, even though we didn't have the time to really thrash these matters out. Thank you once again for coming.